Well, old news is now new news. More commuter gridlock ahead this summer for anyone using Penn Station, especially LIRR commuters. Amtrak says it will have to shut down several tracks for what amounts now to emergency repairs to wooden track ties and tearing down and replacing deteriorating concrete structures. This follows several major delays at rush hour in the past month to deal with derailments and broken tracks or even broken signals, all of which has left commuters fuming.
Well, I think that what's going on is that our infrastructure is crumbling. Money hasn't been put towards it. Let's not forget that Christie killed the extra tunnel.
Joining us now to talk about what's ahead and what can be done or should be done is someone wearing two hats on this issue. She is Veronica Vanterpool. She is an MTA board member, but also executive director for the Tri-State Transportation Campaign, which has long advocated on behalf of commuters of all types who rely on our mass transportation system. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Richard.
Is it getting harder to wear both those hats now?
It is getting harder, yes.
You know, one of the criticisms, let me give you some of the critics' choice questions here, is that the MTA is a gigantic, bloated agency with too many voices. Look at yourself. You're representing two different kind of constituencies here who never get anything done.
I would disagree with that. I think we are in a very complex transportation region. We have a lot of systems, and these systems all break national records. So more transit rides are taken on the MTA system than any other system in the country.
Yeah, you got the record setting for the last couple of years on the LIRR, about to maybe top 90 million passengers this year, which is all the more reason why people are like, are you kidding me? After the month we just went through at Penn Station, you're going to shut down, according to the latest reports, tracks at Penn Station for 44 days to do repairs that the critics say should have been done already.
The critics are right. These repairs should have been done over a period of time. What happens is that Amtrak, like most of our region's transit systems, is not adequately funded, and that means maintenance is not done on the schedule that's needed, and the repairs and the capital needs are not met in the way and on the timeline that is needed.
So this is what we're going to be facing all summer long? People just standing around waiting for their trains? But we know this is coming. What can we do to stop that?
Well, what we can do is just make sure that we're informed and follow what's happening with the agency. So Amtrak has introduced 4 categories of improvements. One of them is this A interlocking. That is the biggest impact project ahead for commuters. The interlocking is the track sorter. It's what sorts trains throughout Penn Station. The second category is a concourse review. How are the agencies working together to manage daily operations? And next is a security task force. How are they handling incidents, events, disruptions? And another is a station center, a joint station center. So the tracks are all maintained in one facility. All the operators are looking at the tracks in one facility, but there's not a similar facility for managers.
So this goes back to my original question, all the operators. It seems like there's too many cooks here. Some people are saying Amtrak, they should take control of Penn Station away from Amtrak. First of all, why does Amtrak have control over Penn Station?
They just own it's their facility. They own 4 train stations throughout the country, and Penn Station happens to be one of them.
And what is Amtrak? Are they private? They get federal subsidies?
They do receive federal subsidies.
But they're private?
It's a quasi arrangement, yes.
Private. So, okay, so they're sort of not federal and they're sort of not private, and yet they're $38 billion in debt. How did that happen? Some people in other states don't want to pay for this? Is that why it doesn't get through Congress? I mean, does Amtrak have a fair argument there?
Well, it's not $38 billion in debt. What it is a backlog of $38 billion of repair.
In repairs.
There's a difference there, certainly. What happens is Congress created this railroad in 1971 and has not adequately funded it. The highest appropriation from Congress was $1.7 billion, and that was 1999. If you think of the scale of Amtrak across this country, certainly that is not enough money. By comparison, the MTA's capital program covers a 10-year span and exceeds that $45 billion investment in Congress.
Well, Senator Schumer says in the latest budget they managed to get him an extra $100 million. That's a lot of money, but is that a drop in the bucket of what Amtrak really needs?
It certainly is, but it's much needed. And Senator Schumer has been a vocal advocate in support of this. That $105 million is going to make a difference. $75 million of that is going just to the Northeast Corridor. Penn Station, of course, is within the Northeast Corridor. It will make a difference.
So here you have everything we just explained. That's just Penn Station. There's been this long, ongoing dispute between the Long Island Railroad and Amtrak about getting access to the East Side Project. The East Side Access Project, you have this situation over in Queens by the East River where they need Amtrak to help them do the work to finish the tunnel work and get connected to Grand Central Station, giving LIRR commuters an option other than going to Penn Station. Everybody agrees this would help to solve many of these problems, give you more tracks, give you more options, alleviate the congestion. What is going on there that the LIRR is pointing the finger at Amtrak? Why aren't they cooperating with them? This thing has been going on for years.
If you are a regular participant in the monthly MTA board meetings, you will know that there has been a good deal of tension between Amtrak and MTA, specifically Long Island Railroad on East Side Access. And it has really to do with schedules. It has to do with we have overtaxed infrastructure that's at capacity. Amtrak is controlling 21 tracks that are shared by the largest commuter rail stations in this rail systems in this country: New Jersey Transit, LIRR, and Amtrak. They're all competing for access. They're all competing against each other's schedules, and that's the problem.
So is what Amtrak doing reasonable, or is it bureaucratic in that everybody's protecting their own turf? What's going on here?
Amtrak certainly needs to do a better job of coordinating with the other two largest rail systems. Amtrak, by comparison, has 30 million nationwide customers. The MTA LIRR has tripled that in 1 year.
Well, here's where we go back to critics saying there's waste involved. But because of that, because they have to, LIRR has to adjust to Amtrak, there is ridiculous overtime being paid out to conductors and specialists and foremen on the LIRR. Newsday just had an article about how people are making hundreds of thousands of dollars, some of them making more than the chairman of the MTA.
That is certainly something that's been reported on that needs to be addressed as well. I think the operations of all these systems has to be better coordinated. And if there's one silver lining of this is we hope to expect to see better coordination between all three. There hasn't been.
Glad you're an MTA board member now. I mean, you used to be kind of on the outside, being able to throw rocks and go, hey, fix this system. Now you're sitting in those meetings. Are you frustrated about what you're able to get done?
I'm not frustrated. I am surrounded by colleagues who are as aggressive and as concerned as I am about a lot of these issues. And I think I have a good understanding of what the challenges are. I always have prior to being on the board. It's frustrating, but I would be frustrated if I wasn't on the MTA board as well.
Okay, so here we are. The commuters who've been listening to this, they've heard me give their litany of complaints. What do you suggest they do come July and August when all these track repairs occur? I mean, what am I supposed to do? There are people saying that their bosses are now demanding notes to prove that they were delayed getting to work because this happens so often now.
On a very practical level, employees need to talk to their employers and start looking at alternative work schedules, number one. There is going to be significant impact to the commuter, and employers are going to have to be sensitive about that. Let's look at other ways of commuting from other remote areas or from home. That's a very practical solution. On a political side, commuters need to let all of their political leadership know that they are upset and impacted. And that goes state governors, congressional delegation.
Okay, well, we'll see that happening. And I have to tell you, my own anecdotal experiences, I'm seeing more cars, people driving in who don't want to deal with the LIRR. I know as part of your organization, that is not something you wanted to see happen, is that more people were going to get on the congested roads. But we have to leave it at there. Veronica Vanterpool, MTA board member and executive director for the Tri-State Transportation Campaign, thanks for talking with us today. And we wish you well getting Amtrak on board. Meanwhile, commuters, buckle up, and we'll be right back.